All right. Well, we have a very special episode today. Honored and privileged to have our good friend Jack Collison on, man. What's going on, Jack?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me on, fellas. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is, I think, our third former West Ham player that we've had on the show. We've had Kenny Brown, who was fantastic. Lee got to interview him, and Wayne and I, another close to mine, we got to interview Ian Bishop, which was a fun time. Now we have Mr. Jack, so that's awesome. Real quick, I got to mention our sponsors, our American Hammers TV. Drinkwaredesign.com makes these fantastic mugs, which you can purchase. There's a link in the description below, as well as the coffee that fills this cup. It's Strava Craft Coffee out of Denver, Colorado. And they make regular coffee, premium craft coffee, and coffee with CBD oil in it, which is fantastic. That's this good stuff. And I can drink it at 9 o'clock at night and not have the jitters when I go to bed. So anyway, awesome.
Also, Wally Sips.
Yeah, sorry.
Happy birthday to Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's got a nice birthday gift. I don't know. Jack is one of my favorite players of all time. I'm sure he's one of your favorite players of all time too. So it's a good birthday gift.
Yes, Jack. You know, I can't say enough of him. You know, back in 2016, he came over here to the States and ran a soccer camp, which Lee, you got to meet him there as well, and you get to sign your shirt. And he did us a huge favor by coming over with a guy named Russell Short, who Russ is a great guy as well. And then, Jack helped me out big time when I visited there at the end of the 2017-2018 season, and basically helped me have the experience of a lifetime. And you know what's funny, Jack, is when you got interviewed by those Norwegian Hammers on that boat. I don't know if you remember that. I think it was in between the last two games of the season. I ended up spending the rest of my vacation with them. Like, they were the most craziest, most fun people I've ever met in my life. So it was actually a great experience. But anyway, let's get cracking into the interview here. So, Jack, first and foremost, you got your debut through Curbishley. We want to kind of break down a little bit here and go manager by manager and get your thoughts here. So what was Curbishley like as a manager?
For me, it was interesting because obviously he was very experienced, and I was just a young lad at the time, so I was dipping in and out of training with the first team. And I think the first probably moment that he really noticed that I was a half decent player, we played a pre-season friendly against. And I got to play alongside Scotty Parker, and it was unbelievable. And I had a really good game that day. And then the first team went on pre-season a couple of days later, but I wasn't in the squad to go. And then they flew me out there a couple of days later because someone got injured. And then it was from that sort of point on that I was with the first team all the time. And I mean, what can you say about the man who gives you your debut? It's quite a special thing. So obviously, I owe him an awful lot for. Well, firstly, having faith in me and obviously giving me that opportunity to go out there and fulfill a childhood dream. Now,
was he hands-on at all when it comes down to training, or was it more...
Yeah, he was always out on the training pitch. He had a couple of good people in with him. He had Mervyn Day in with him, who was a big character. Snods was there as well, who was a larger-than-life character as well. So it was a real good environment, very well organised. You knew exactly what was expected. And he had a real good squad of players as well, like a good base of players who have been together for quite a long time. Obviously, come up through the championship together. So it was a good environment to be around, and he was good day in day out on the training pitch. The games you'd go into, you'd be prepared. You knew exactly where you sort of stood with him, and obviously done pretty well with the team for quite a the time as well. So no, it was good to learn off him, and as I said, I'm very thankful that he gave me my opportunity.
Jack, the circumstances of him leaving were, I don't know about controversial, but a little unusual. He seemed pretty successful at West Ham, and yet he was fairly unpopular among the fans, I think. There were a lot of accusations.
Yeah.
Kind of boring football. What was your take on
that? I think for me, because I was so young, and sort of any opportunity just to be in and around the first team was just incredible for me. So in terms of having to be and around it when he's getting a bit of stick. You could see it take its toll on the managers, and I mean the West Ham fans are very very knowledgeable, and they're very honest if they see stuff they don't like. No managers, and I think towards the end you could see it was getting to him, and obviously the right decision was made to bring.
I think, did we lose him?
Yeah, for just a little bit.
I think we lost your picture too.
Yeah. You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit.
Let's see.
Try this. Where are we? Connection. How do I get that?
The best part about doing it on Skype is that I can actually edit it, which is nice. But
We don't really have to. Yeah.
Because it said go to audio only because my my thing wasn't working. How do I go back to camera?
if you kind of take them, are you on the phone or a device like a laptop or something?
No, I'm on the laptop.
All right, so you just put the mouse over the screen, and then you should see a camera icon, a microphone icon, and
yeah, it says turn. I'm trying to turn video on, but it's not coming on. Is it? Bloody thing, man. Is it worth coming out and back in, do you think?
yeah, let's turn it off and turn it on again. Yeah, you want to do that?
Right, I've got one video. There we go. Has that worked?
Hey, you're back. You're back.
We're back. We're back in business. Love it.
All right. All right. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to stop this, and we're just going to start over real quick. Okay. All right. Cool. No, I just wanted to. All I wanted to do is just mark it so that I can edit this after. All right. Cool. Let's get back into it. So, Lee, you were saying about Curbishley?
Yeah. So, Jack, you were saying that you were kind of just bringing into the first team when Curbishley left under kind of unusual or maybe unfortunate circumstances, and there's a lot of pressure on the managers. But I think you were saying that it was the right decision for him to go, and I was just wondering, kind of what your thought was there. Obviously, I think Zola came in after that. What was the I don't know, what was the attitude among the players towards sort of the departure of Curbishley, and then pretty much the opposite kind of person coming in to manage the club?
Yeah, it's always a strange situation where just before the manager goes, because I think the players and the training ground, you get a sense that it's sort of coming, and you can quite often see the managers are very down and not how they were before. So I think in terms of the sacking, it obviously come at the right time for everyone, and that fresh blood, that impetus, and bringing in just someone, as you said, completely different, and was a stroke of genius. And I think when everyone found out that it was Zola actually coming in, we were just so excited to get to work with him. And I think you could see that in the style of football that we wanted to play. And I think how he was as a man, he had a real big impact, especially over the first couple of months.
The first season you had under him was really pretty successful, and then the second was more of a struggle. I think we stayed up on 35 points in 2009.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you're cutting it out.
No.
I think the first season was just a joy to play in that team. The way we played that diamond formation, and some of the players, the likes of Di Michele, Diamante, all these exciting players. I mean, for me to play alongside Scotty Parker, Valon Barami, and Mark Noble in the midfield was an absolute joy to play in, and we had a good mixture of youth. Obviously, James Tompkins was playing. Zav and Junior Stanislas were getting opportunities, but then you had a real good core of experienced players as well. So your Lucas Neal at right back was vitally important. Your centre backs, your Gabadons, your James Collins, them sort of players were real sort of key players. So it was a good mix, and we went out on the pitch, we just enjoyed playing. The way he wanted us to play, the way we could just play with no shackles on. Really, it was good fun. And I think in that first season, you saw, I think we ended up 8th or 9th maybe in the end, but we should have done a lot better. We just fell away towards the end. And then the following season, we just couldn't get it going. Really, we struggled. We struggled it, and I think towards the end it was a similar case again. You could see he was feeling the stress, feeling the strain, and I just think as players we were disappointed that we couldn't do more to sort of help get out of that situation, because I think everyone enjoyed working with him. Everyone wanted to play with him, and as I said, the style of football was fun to play in, and I'm sure it was good to watch. So I think if he would have got more time, he would have turned it around and got it right. But I suppose you don't always get that time, do you? Especially now with the money in the football and that. If there's any worries that it looks like you might be going down, then obviously people have to act.
Now, looking back, so basically we're talking about like in between the managers now. So after Zola left and before we knew what Avram Grant was going to do as a manager, you know, when he was announced that he was going to be your next manager and his, you know, fairly decent track record, I mean, were you guys excited as players, or were you interested? I mean, just think before the season happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's always, you hear things about certain managers. So there was always, obviously, as you said, he'd been quite successful elsewhere. But you never know what the manager's actually going to be like until they walk through that door. And I think everyone was just intrigued because he's quite a large character, isn't he, Avram? He comes with a lot behind him, sort of thing. So I think we were quite interested to see what he's like. But to be honest, it wasn't a spell for the club or for me personally. I mean, I missed his entire time for injury. I was out for 40 months myself, so for me it was even harder having to watch on from the sidelines and not being able to do nothing about it. And I think it was a real difficult period for the club. And I think the day he got sacked was it was just mixed feelings for me, because we played Wigan away. My first game back in 14 months. My first start for the team, and we actually got relegated that day as well. So Avram got sacked, we got relegated, but for me I was absolutely buzzing to be out on the pitch again, to be playing in the Premier League. It's real strange feelings. It took me a while to sort of digest it, but in terms of Avram, I didn't do any work with him out on the training pitch. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Maxie.
That's Maxie. Yeah, Max
Hey,
still has. Yeah, he still has the medal from the camp, the Jack Collison. Yeah. So now, let's see here. You know, it's funny because you were saying it was a really tough time that, you know, even for fans, you know, the 2010-2011 season. But at the same time, it was probably one of the best things that happened to the club at that time, because we got relegated, and then that magnificent 2011-2012 season and championships just got everybody's buzzing again, everybody's hopes up again, and you know, especially as fans. I don't know what it was like for, you know, players obviously, but you know, getting back into the Premier League, that whole season was fantastic. And then the playoffs, as you know, is you clearly saved us from the playoffs and got us into the final. Now the final was kind of interesting, but at the same time, you know, I'll never. We've had a lot of Americans on this show who that was their first season watching, or that was their favorite season watching. And, you know, that playoff final is probably most everyone's favorite game in recent history, their favorite match in recent history. So, you know, that 2010-2011 season was a struggle, but yeah, at the same time, it led to one of the greatest experiences in a lot of people's, you know, lives today.
Yeah, no, it was a joy to play in that season. You talk about having a real good team spirit and special squad. So obviously Big Sam's come in, and I think a real touch of genius was bringing in Kevin Nolan as his captain, because he was brilliant behind the scenes in terms of running the changing room, bringing everyone together, building that real good team spirit. Although we were expected to go up quite easily, that championship's tough. That Saturday, Tuesday, I mean, teams used to come to Upton Park and literally just sit behind the ball and try and be really hard to beat. So it was completely different. I mean, playing in the Premier League, we were quite often the underdogs. We'd quite often have less possession. So now it was a completely different style of play that we had to try and adopt. And obviously Big Sam was known for his direct football, but in terms of a real enjoyable season, I'm glad you enjoyed it as fans, because we certainly enjoyed playing in it. I mean, big characters, your Kevin Nolans, your Henry Lansbury's, all these boys, obviously Mark Noble and that, and it was great to be doing it alongside some people that you actually really got on with. So you try extra hard to sort of, you'd run through a wall for each other. We had that real sort of bond and spirit, and when it got tough around Christmas time, and we were drawing all the games and we were struggling to win, and I think the fans on Big Sam a bit, we had a bit of a sort of siege mentality. We were together and we knew we'd have enough to sort of get there. And although the playoffs is super risky, I mean, what a couple of games we had for the fans. Obviously going to Cardiff for myself, probably one of my best nights in a West Ham shirt, scoring a couple of goals to set us on the way, and we brought them back home and we battered them at Upton Park. So obviously we're going into the final for the confidence, especially after we beat Blackpool that season quite convincingly twice. I mean, we'd done it with 10 men away from home. We had Henry Lansbury in goal at the end.
Yeah,
that's right.
So, that's right.
Yeah, so we were super confident, and then it seemed it got to the game day, and obviously Coley stuck us 1-0 up, and then we were just useless after that. We were super proud.
What do you think it was? You think it was nerve?
It was a real strange feeling. We just, I'm not sure what it was. We were really confident, but I suppose it is, because when you think about it, that all that pressure of trying to get up, that whole season's work, and what it means, not just to the players, because obviously financially it makes a big difference playing in the Premier League, but all the people within the club. I mean, the chefs, the masseurs, everyone. It meant so much to them, and of course the fans. It was vital that we got up at the first time we were trying. So yeah, it was very nerve-wracking, and the feeling when Vaz Tay smashed that ball in the goal was just incredible.
I think for everyone,
he went off celebrating one way with his abs out. I run across the other way, pulling my shorts. So I don't think anyone knew what to do, and just that sense of relief for the final whistle was just it was incredible. I mean, I got in trouble myself because I don't know if you remember the game that well, but I started having a bit of a dribble up in the middle of the pitch when we were 2-1 up and give the ball away, and they've nearly scored. Thank God for Winston Reid stepping in and getting in the way. And Kevin Nolan in my face telling me off, but it was it was great. I mean, a day out of Wembley like that, as you said, for everyone across the globe, what a fantastic day, and what a group of players. That was probably, although it was in the Championship, it's probably one of my favourite times playing football, just because everything that went with it, the team spirit, some of the games we played, winning more than you losing makes a big difference.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. We hear that a lot as fans too.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. So, in the Premier League, obviously, especially in your time, I think Zola's second season, and obviously the Evan Grant, the relegation season, we were often coming into the matches as underdogs. I say we, I mean, obviously I wasn't playing, but West Ham were often coming to matches as underdogs. It's the opposite in the Championship, right? You're coming in, you should, I guess, be expecting to win pretty much every match. As a player, what's the difference in attitude toward going up against Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal, etc., as opposed to I'm trying to think of who was even in the Championship at the time, Ipswich and I think Leicester and so forth. How do you handle it differently from one league to another?
I think we were lucky because Big Sam was excellent in terms of keeping us grounded, letting us know what the expectations are. If we had to push a bit harder, he'd certainly tell us. I mean, when we went to Ipswich and got absolutely battered, he had us in at 7:00 the next morning for a meeting, and he was good at sort of managing our expectations and keeping us very level. I think for me, and as a player, the big thing I used to look forward to was when the team sheets come out. So an hour before the game, obviously the captains go in and come back in the team sheet, and most managers would write the team up on the board, the opposition, and obviously when you're playing a Man U or Tottenham, you're looking and it's exciting because you're seeing all these world-class players and big names, and you're thinking, right, this is going to be great. But obviously you're going into the game as a bit of an underdog. Whereas obviously in the Championship, it's a tough league. But when the teams were going up, you'd look at their team and then you'd look at our team. You'd have a look around. I mean, as I said, your Kevin Nolan, your Mark Nobles, your Winston Reid. We had some some real quality right throughout the spine of the team. Obviously, Rob Green, one of he's probably really being on top of his game. So right through that spine of the team, we felt we had a real good chance going into sort of every game. So your mentality does change. But as I said, what we found really hard was when we were at Upton Park, and obviously teams would come, they'd love playing at Upton Park because of that intense atmosphere. It's a special place to play, and obviously everyone wanted to beat us that year. So we found it tough at times. We couldn't score, and luckily we signed Verstay, who was absolutely on fire after Christmas. I think he scored 12 goals between Christmas and the end of the season, and I think he was a real big. Well, obviously scoring the winner in the final, but he made a real big difference to us. He just gave us that cutting edge, that bit of nastiness that we needed.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say your first year in the Premier League, though, you could kind of tell that it wasn't going to be that much of a struggle as a fan perspective. You know what I mean? From a fan's point, we knew that looking at the team, the core of the team, it was Premier League material. I mean, on paper.
Yeah.
And there wasn't that much of a, even during the season, I mean, there really wasn't that much of a scare that first year, even though, that there was a target. We got to get at least 40 points, and, we'll go from there and try to push the target on further. But no, there was some really exciting matches that first season as well.
First season back, yeah.
The first season back, yeah.
Yeah, no, there was. And obviously for us coming up, then your mentality changes again, because we're back here. Now we've got to prove a point and show that I think the disappointing thing for me was I absolutely battered my knee towards the end of the season. I wasn't training too much and sort of getting through the game. So I ended up missing, I think, the first 2 months of the season back in the Premier League. So all that excitement and freshness of coming up, for me, it was tough because I'm on the sidelines watching on again. And then when I get back, it's hard to find your rhythm and sort of get yourself in the team and stay in the team. So it was quite a strange period for me. It was nice being back in the Premier League, but from the year before, where I was a main part of it, to being on the outside was very difficult.
And what is it like, going from, say, especially going from the Championship into the Premier League? Even the season before when you guys went down, I guess, those off seasons where you lose players, key players. You guys going who's been with the club for a while, so you're like, oh gosh, what are we going to do about it? That's a key focal point in your club, especially going into the Premier League. I mean, you end up signing, Juicy, I think, Jääskeläinen, and and Rob Green, I think, ended up going to like Palace or something like that. Not Palace, I'm sorry, QPR. Yeah, QPR. I mean, QPR. What is it like? What is it like? Yeah, what is it like to lose, players that have been around for a while? Or
it's always strange, especially when you've got a bond with them. You obviously know there's going to be some coming and going. It's quite exciting at times, especially some of the big names that we signed throughout the summers over the years while I was playing. It's always interesting when you come in that first day of pre-season when there's people who maybe, you said, have been part of my furniture for the last 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden they're not there, because you get used to each other, how they act, their tendencies. You kind of, in the afternoon, Rob Green's in the gym every single afternoon, so whenever you go in the gym, you're going to see Greeny, and it's obviously a bit of a difference when you go in the gym and Greeny's not in there. So I suppose it's just getting used to some of the new players. I think signing Jussi was a real touch of genius once again, because although he was at the sort of latter stage of his career, he was excellent that first season. He had some outstanding saves, and to see him, obviously been in and around the Premier League, so his focus and his work rate and all of that stuff, you can see why he had such a prolonged career. So as a player, you look to stuff like that and you think, bloody hell, you can see why he's done so well, and you can take little bits off these new players and experienced players. So it's difficult at times, but it's always exciting.
Jack, you obviously had a lot of injury issues, unfortunately, and we've seen that with a lot of West Ham players over the years. And like we have Winston Reid still in the club. I think people have forgotten he's even there. He's been injured for so long. when you're out for a long period of time, how do you keep your focus? And do you talk to the other players? How much a part of the team are you when you're missing, months and months at a time?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, to be fair to the boy, because you have got that close knit group, I think they try their hardest to make you feel part of it. But when you're sat in the treatment room, that's when all the fun is. Do you know what I mean? And when they're leaving to go to an away game and you're not part of it, and it's difficult. It's horrible. And although they're trying to help you at times, I mean, you can imagine me walking in the morning, you see 10, 15, 20 people, and all they're trying to help because they want to seem interested. But before I've even stuck my wash bag down or got changed into my kit, I've had 15 people asking me how my knee is. So
Yeah.
it's not great. And I mean, it's the worst thing ever. It's something you love, especially during them difficult seasons, like the season we got relegated under having to do anything about it, and getting up to the Premier League, excitement with that fresh group of players, how well we could do, not being able to be part of it. It's not ideal, and it's I mean, I was very lucky. I had some fantastic people around me. They've had some real good and some good staff to work with. Keep you going, especially them low and difficult days when you're in the gym or you're in the swimming pool or you're on the bike, and you can see that you're months and months away from getting back. It's certainly tough, and it builds that bit of grit and that determination to really try and come back and make a difference and make an impact. And I think the big thing that I took injured all the time was, after my first couple of injuries, I always said to myself, every session, every game, just really cherish it, enjoy them moments of being out on the pitch. So I think when you saw me play half the time, I was always playing with a big smile on my face because I just absolutely love being out there. Which is probably the biggest thing. Although it's disappointing, I had to finish playing at sort of 26. To be honest, I'd probably finished by 21, 22, so I've done well to get out of it what I could in terms of the knee. But it's meant now that at 30 years old, I've nearly completed my pro license. I'm sort of 4 or 5 years ahead of where I would have been at 35, 40, coming out in the coaching. So that's my sort of way that I'm looking at it now. And I think for me, that enjoyment of football has never gone away. So now to be part of it and still being out on the training pitch every day is a big reason as to why I'm sort of coaching now.
And getting your pro license, that's not something that happens overnight. You know what I mean? There's a lot of work that goes into that, from the A and the B and all the different licenses you have to go and all the different training courses you have to take. I mean, it's a lot. And it's really good to see that you're almost there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're getting there slowly.
I remember back in
we got
back in 2016. I'm sorry. Back in 2016, when you came over, I mean, you were just getting your A, or you had your A, or just got your A license. You know what I mean? Your UEFA A.
Yeah.
So now that's amazing, man.
So
it's good to.
I just wanted to ask a related question to that, Jack, because you've been working with the academy. I know you're headed to Atlanta here pretty soon, which is very exciting. And Tim and I finally have an MLS club to support since you're going to Atlanta. But you worked with the academy. You worked with a lot of the younger players, teenage players. What did you tell them, not just about football, but about how they live their lives? I mean, you had to finish playing at 26, which was awful. Worse for you than for me, but it was also a tragedy for me personally because I loved you as a player. But how do you?
I love that. I'll see you later.
Yeah. So you're working with these young guys, and you know that it could happen to any of them, right? It could happen to any of them. What kind of advice do you give them on sort of life inside and outside football?
Well, I think it's a good question, because I think a big part of also why I went into coaching, because in that short space of time that I was playing, I experienced being a young player, getting into the team, being out of the team, having to fight for your place, dealing with injuries, relegation, promotion. So in that short space of time, I got an awful lot of experiences and obviously played under some great managers and great coaches. So I've taken little bits from that I'll try and use in my coaching now. And I think for me, I always try and keep that enjoyment with the players. I want it to be fun. I want them to come in and look forward to training and look forward to games. And I think the big thing which they do really well at West Ham is not just try and create. Obviously, they want to create a footballer. They want to create a Declan Rice, but it's trying to give these boys that life experience as well. So from nine years old, they're travelling around the world. They're going on tours, and it's a big part of testing these young lads, taking them out of their comfort zone. Yes, they've got great facilities to play in. It's an honour to obviously stick with West Ham, but they're also trying to give them that life experience and create good people as well as good players. So I think that's essential to always try and work towards that, keep that enjoyment, and obviously pass over any bits that you can, because I was very fortunate to play under some great coaches myself.
What could you give us an idea of kind of the state of our academy? I feel as though, obviously we're famous, West Ham, for being the Academy of Football. If you look back at the England team from the kind of the early 2000s, there were 5-6 guys who came up through the West Ham system, even though they didn't really stay with the club. Lampard and Ferdinand and Glenn Johnson and guys like that. Then I felt as though we had a little bit of a dip, and now I feel, as though with Declan Rice obviously coming through, with Nathan Holland and a couple of other young guys coming through, we seem to be having a resurgence. What is your take on where we are with the academy right now?
Yeah, I think it's in a real good spot at the moment. As you said, I think that was quite evident, that dip, because there was a big gap without anyone sort of really coming through and making their mark. But I think now I'm stepping away at a really good time where the academy's in great hands. I mean, the new facilities are incredible for these young lads. So I think it was important that the owners and to get that right, and now these players are going into wonderful facilities every day, and then in and around it you've got a manager in Pellegrini who actually believes in the youth and gives. So this season alone, obviously Grady Diangana, Ben Johnson, played a bit, so good young players getting on opportunities. Joe Powell's had his debut, hasn't he? Connor Coventry, and obviously Declan Rice is the one who's really flying the flag for the academy. So I think it's in a real good spot, and that link between first team and academy is getting stronger and stronger month by month. So hopefully Pellegrini's not going to disappear too soon. Hopefully he can see it as a longer term project. I think he's really well liked, well respected, and as I said, for a player being in the academy, you want to know that your first team manager, and that's a real big thing that West Ham got in there. I think some of the players coming through are so exciting. Nathan Holland, I want to see him playing this year because he's exciting, he's quick, he scores goals, he takes people on. He's a real player that I feel the fans can sort of get behind and enjoy watching. So, and even below that, there's some real good players. There's some of the boys in the under-18s. I mean, the young lad Dan Chester's, Jamal Baptiste, who's an under-15, played in the youth team all season. There's real quality all the way through the age groups, and I think the biggest thing was getting that relationship right between the first team, and it seems as if they're there now.
Interesting. Yeah, so that they actually have the sense that, because I'm thinking, Allardyce wasn't a big youth guy. He wasn't somebody who was necessarily going to pay a lot of attention to he liked more experienced players. So the first team manager is important for the academy then. I mean, so the fact that they can look up and say, hey, Ben Johnson got a chance, Grady got a chance, Declan Rice is there. It's a big for them to have that, I don't know, sort of way to get there, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I just cut out a bit, but yeah, I think having that hope. Do you know what I mean? As you see, Dex really. And all of a sudden, some of these under-18s who've been training with Ben Johnson all year and Joe Powell all year, they're seeing these boys get exposure in their first team. They think, you know what, maybe as I might be. And I mean, as a young player myself, I was fortunate because I got to train with the first team. I was probably training with every day from sort of 17, 18. But the journey now for these young players it's a lot later, it seems, because there's under-18s. They have to go through the under-23s, and they're coming out of 19, 20, not much, not just games. I'm talking about training, but now the manager's really starting to bring the players in, and he likes technical players. And academies in England are known for having good technical players, so they will get opportunities. I'm sure they'll continue to get opportunities, and as we've said, just having that little bit of hope that if they're good enough, they will get a chance is a massive, massive thing.
What are some of the changes you've seen? You went through the academy yourself. I don't know when you started, but it was, I think, fairly early. What have you seen that's changed since the time you were there?
In the academy,
Yeah.
well, certainly the new facilities are incredible. As I said, that's a real big thing in terms of being able to compete with some of the other top academies. So that was a big thing. I think the other thing is players struggle with honest feedback now, and I don't think that's just that's just in academies. I think that's a thing in society now. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yes.
playing under Tony, incredible. He made me his captain as a second year, and I think in 2 years he gave me about 2 compliments, which obviously you're striving. You want to impress the man who's brought through Lampard, Rio, Joe Cole. So in terms of getting real honest and that tough feedback that I think you need, that's been very hard as sort of a young coach, trying to find the best way to get across to these players that sometimes they need to be told and sometimes they're not going to like it. It's just trying to do it the best way that it comes across without them thinking that you're picking on them or bullying or things like that, which is tough, trying to find that balance and that real fine line. I think one thing that has gone in the kids' favour is now they're technically so good. Some of the stuff they can do with the ball, the standard and the quality of the player is miles above what it would have been 10, 15 years ago. But it's just trying to get that mental side as well, that toughness and that grit and that determination, and let them know it's not going to be all plain sailing. They will have knockbacks. They will be in and around the team, then they might not. They might train with the first team one day and not be up there for another 2 months. And it's just trying to manage their emotions more than probably working on the football side of things, because they're good players. They're really good players, and it's just taking them out of their comfort zone, pushing when you can push, and knowing when to put an arm around them. But that has certainly been the big change, I think, in not just at West Ham but all academies.
Yeah, we're almost we're getting close on time here. So what we like to do with the show is run through a rapid fire 10 questions. So we've prepared. Yeah, we prepared. Actually, yeah, 10 questions for you. So let's get right to it. So Irish coffee or a hot toddy?
Oh, Irish coffee.
Favorite goal you saw West Ham score? No, I'm sorry. No, that's for someone else. I'm so sorry. All right. So biggest talent you played against?
Sorry, famous.
Biggest talent you played against?
Oh wow. Played against Jack Wilshere was pretty special as a kid. Playing against him was good. And probably I enjoyed playing against Fabregas because I thought he was unbelievable. So them two technical players who were really tough to play against.
All right. And player you most hated to play against? Like you just couldn't stand playing against him?
Oh, but there was a couple. Lee Catamol.
Yeah.
He used to kick lumps out of everyone. I used to try and let Scotty Parker deal with him. And it was I think do you remember Pogatetz who we signed?
Oh yes.
Yes. When I was a real young player, I played against him, and he was quite strange. So it's funny when we signed a few years later, he was pinching me and kicking me, and I think he would get one over me in that way. And then we signed him about 2 seasons later, so it's quite interesting. But yeah, them two, I didn't like them aggressive players who'd kick lumps out of you.
All right. So a word that makes you happy?
Oh, good question. Goal.
There you go. Your favorite curse word?
Oh, see, I've had to try and cut down on this now because with the 2 kids around.
Mm-hmm.
I say shit quite a lot.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
Team you love to beat when wearing the claret and blue?
Oh, it's got to be Tottenham, isn't it? It's got to be.
That's a yeah.
always good games against Spurs. Yeah,
All right.
it's Tottenham.
Name a player, past or present, that epitomizes West Ham.
Sorry, Tim. Can you
Yeah, sorry.
past or present?
That epitomizes West Ham. I'm cutting out, huh?
Yeah, go on, go again. Third time lucky. We're getting there.
Name a player, past or present, that epitomizes West Ham.
Oh, there's a couple. I think when I think of West Ham, obviously Mark Noble's the one now. He lives, bleeds, he absolutely loves it and runs the training ground. But for me, I love Paolo Di Canio. And when I think about West Ham, you think about that goal and the passion and the quality and just everything he had was so West Ham. So probably him is the main one for me.
Player you enjoy watching in the current squad.
Was that in the current team?
Yeah, current team. Sorry.
Oh, now there's a couple. See, I'm a big Lanzini fan. Love Lanzini. Probably my favourite player at the moment, so Anderson. He makes things look so easy. I love his nutmeg, some of his goals, some of his qualities. So yeah, definitely Anderson at the moment.
What player from West Ham's past would you bring back today?
Jack Collison.
Yeah.
What was that?
Which player from West Ham's history would you bring back today?
Yeah. Oh.
You can say Jack Collison. You can say Jack Collison. It's okay.
Yeah, I'd like to in that team at the next game. I'd like a couple of games out of the knee. That would be class. Obviously, it's got to be Bobby Moore, isn't it? The legend. Imagine him in that team with all that quality around him. Oh, yeah, it'd be great to see him back in and around it, wouldn't it?
Oh, Ted, we can't hear you, buddy.
Oh, did you miss that?
We did.
That's it.
There we go.
If you could,
we back in business though.
I hope so. All right. If you traveled back in time and you were in Bobby Moore's garden and he was just sipping on tea, what would you say to him?
Yeah. Oh, good question. I'd ask him how he makes it look so easy. He looked like he never broke a sweat when he played from the videos and that I've seen. And obviously that famous game against Brazil was just the amount of times you've watched them highlights and you just think, wow, what a player.
He never looked shat. I mean, he never looked rattled. He never, ever. He looked so composed all the time.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think just to speak to someone like, because everyone you speak to just says what a gentleman he was. So I think I'm sure he'd have some good stories about some of the players he's played with and that. And just to take a bit of knowledge and spend a bit of time would be class, wouldn't it?
Awesome. Anything else you got for him, Lee?
No, I just want to wish you the best in wherever you're headed next. No, I gather we're not totally sure about that yet, but just want to wish you the best and want to thank you for your time at West Ham, for being such a great player, somebody I really enjoyed watching, and obviously for taking the time with us today. We would love to have you back sometime if you come back on sometime.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me on, fellas, and obviously it's great to see this and see it grow. And I am into Colton Cole for you, so watch this space. Hopefully, I'll come on for you in the next couple of months because he's a good character. And obviously, for me, I might be seeing a bit more of you coming out to the States.
Yes.
And we've got big plans for the soccer school out in the States as well. So yeah, no, it'll be good. So we'll have to make sure we catch up properly.
Oh, we will.
Have a bit.
We'll absolutely do that. Yeah. Come to Boston. Bring your kids. Tim has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. My boys are footballers. They're soccer players. So come and you can give them a few little lessons on how to play. They can.
All right. Well, that was another episode of American Hammers TV. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back on Wednesday with Cleveland Hammers. So we'll get some insight from Cleveland. Come on, you Irons.